Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kira. I do videos on faith and following Jesus, and I want to talk about waiting on God today. Something that probably all of us face at one point in time or another in our lives, where we have to wait on God to fulfill the promises He's given us, or the visions He's given us, or the dreams He's given us. And waiting is hard, and it's probably not your favorite thing. I know it's not mine. But how do we use the time of waiting well? How do we use it to honor and glorify God and see that there's purpose in the wait, that there's purpose in waiting on God and what God has for us during that season of waiting? The Hebrew word for wait translates as ready to receive. And if you think about that when we're in a season of waiting, that we're just in a place that's ready to receive. I know when I'm in waiting seasons and I'm waiting on God, a lot of times I default to frenzied, like I gotta figure it out, I gotta figure out all the details and do it myself kind of attitude, which is not what God wants for us. Because in that, I am not in a place that's ready to receive, because I'm trying to figure out the details and put everything in order and do it myself without God. That I'm not reliant on Him, and I'm definitely not waiting on Him at that point. God wants to use the waiting season to grow us and develop us, and also to prepare our hearts and ourselves for what He is giving to us or doing in our lives. Abraham, the classic example of faith in the Bible, God promised him a child, that he would have descendants that were more numerous than the stars or the grains of sand. And while he was waiting on that promise, Abraham decided to take things into his own hands and have a son by means of Hagar, his wife's servant, which wasn't at all what God wanted. And he was outside of the promise of God because he was trying to fulfill it himself. He wasn't ready to receive what God was going to give him. He was in a place where he was trying to do it himself. Later, God does fulfill that promise and does give Abraham and Sarah Isaac in their old age, and does come through on that promise. But we have to wait. We can't, by means of ourselves, fulfill the promises of God that He's given to us. But that doesn't mean we sit back and do nothing either. Whatever part you have to play in the wait, do that. Be diligent, be faithful. But also realize when it's time to step back and say, I've done my part. I've done what God's called me to do. And I'm going to pray, and I am going to be ready to receive. That in the wait, that there is joy. And in the wait, it grows our faith, that we are dependent on God to come through on His promise to us, that we can trust Him to be good and faithful to what He said, that He is faithful even when we are faithless, even when we feel like giving up and not waiting any longer, that He is faithful to what He said, and He will come through on His promise, that He is a promise keeper. And no matter how long the wait, that it is worth it. And so while we are waiting, we can be in close proximity to the Lord and growing in intimacy with Him, because we are in a position that we are ready to receive what He has for us. That in the wait, that we are ready and also joyful. Paul talks about being joyful in every circumstance. So whether you are receiving the promise right now or whether you're in the waiting for it, that there is joy, that there is closeness to God, that as we draw closer to Him, He will draw closer to us. That the season of waiting can be done well when we recognize that when we are being called to wait, that we put ourselves in a position that we are ready to receive. If you have any questions about this, please comment them down below. And if you have any prayer requests, please, I would love to pray with you. We are a community that believes in prayer and praying together. Also, if you are interested, I run a women's ministry called Flourish Sisterhood, and we believe that God has just created us to do life together as a community, but also to grow closer to Him and to flourish in every area of life as He intends for us. So if you want to join that, you can click the link down below for our website or for the Instagram. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next video.